Carl, it's a great year for basketball in Rochester. The high schools notwithstanding, we haven't seen, a lot of high school basketball or any of that stuff. But Anthony Lamb and Isaiah Stewart made it in the NBA. And Stewart certainly made a mark as a high draft pick. That it's basketball coming out of Rochester that's really pretty amazing to have this happen in 1 year, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and it shows the great coaching and the amount of work that the young players from this area have done. It's great to see kids that we go to McQuaid and watch Isaiah Stewart, or go to Greece Athena and watch Anthony Lamb, and here now 4 years later, you turn on the TV and they're playing against LeBron James or playing against another superstar in the league. I think it's just fantastic. And let's not forget, he's kind of the dean of Rochester NBA players now. Thomas Bryant, who had signed a big contract with the Wizards, he ended up tearing up his knee, so he missed the bulk of the year. But for Rochester, New York, to have 3 kids from this town playing in the NBA, I think it's phenomenal. I really do.
Pat, it used to be the hockey players that made all the mark locally, the guys that made it. And, basketball now can stand even with them, don't you think?
100%. And I mean, going back to the hockey player thing, right? I mean, look, it takes the talent and the hard work. And I mean, Carl, you more than anybody being around that sport, high school sports here, you see the hard work that goes in, but it also comes into fitting into a good situation. You look at a guy like Ryan Callahan, a guy like Brian Giants, a guy like Stevie Giants, a guy like Rory Fitzpatrick. The hard work worked great. Finding the right situation worked great. And I think Isaiah Stewart is the perfect example of finding a great situation. When John Wallace gets drafted to the New York Knicks, he gets drafted to a team that's picking in the high teens. It's harder for a guy of that age to earn playing time on the floor, where Isaiah Stewart goes to a team that desperately needs help where he is there. And that benefits him in a huge way, right? Like, there's eyes on him throughout the league every night. He was top 5 rookie of the year consideration for a big point of the league. And when he got his opportunity, he took advantage of it. Sometimes it's as simple as having the opportunity. And same with Anthony Lamb. He gets his opportunity. He takes advantage of it. Good for those guys, man.
To that point, Pat, the Rockets were a terrible team. So they bring Anthony Lamb up from the G League. He goes out and shows that he can play with the big boys. And whether or not he stays in Houston or ends up elsewhere, he's now shown the rest of the league he's somebody that's going to be on all of their radars. Again, not a draft pick, but a kid who's going to be a worker bee, and a lot of teams would like to have him now.
So Stewart gets the nickname Beef Stew in Detroit, and they love him. The fans love him in Detroit. He's almost, he's as close to getting folk hero status as a first-year player can. Lamb is a different case. He caught a real break, and thank you, James Harden, for demanding to be traded out of there, creating an historically bad Houston Rockets team that Lamb gets a chance to play for. In your knowledgeable eye for basketball players, has Lamb proven enough to indicate to anyone that he's good enough to stay in the NBA?
Yeah, I think he has, and it's funny. I saw Anthony Lamb play a ton in high school, and my only thought with Anthony Lamb was if he was 2 or 3 inches taller, he would be a high first-round pick. There was nothing that kid couldn't do at Greece Athena. Was overlooked by the Syracuse and the big schools around here. Didn't really recruit him. Goes to Vermont, player of the year a couple times in that conference. And same thing happened to him in the G League. He started out with an organization that didn't give much of a shot, gets traded in the G League, all of a sudden starts putting up numbers. You mentioned the Harden trade. They call him up. He puts up numbers there. So I think he's a guy who's proven that he's going to continue to get better. And teams are always looking for a guy like that, whether it be at the end of the bench or somebody who's a contributor who's going to make their team better. And I think that's what Anthony Lamb has done at every stop along the way.
I would love to see that, especially because, Lamb put in a full career at a public school, which is, it kind of puts him in a class by himself along with John Wallace.